Hello everybody, I'm Krasi Attasio. I'm sidereal astrologer, and today I will talk about a very important celestial event, and this is the disappearance of Venus. Venus becomes invisible, will hide in the rays of the sun from 15th of July 2019 until 13th of October 2019. So quite some time we will not be able to see Venus. This is not a bad thing, but it completely changes the nature of the planet. What is happening actually is, I will show you astrologically how exactly this looks like. But before that, let's see how to, which principle, which divinity will stay behind this celestial event, and then this way we will know what the celestial event will bring us. So right now Venus is a morning star, and she's Inanna from a cat, and she's Athena Palas. Often I'm explaining she's the male divinity, which is very much about war, art of war, strategy, and in the Greek mythology, this is Athena Palas. And then she will become invisible. When a planet is meeting the sun, this is not a bad event, because the sun is the father of the solar system, and the planets, let's say that the planets are his children. And also, if you look at this is from our symbolical perspective, but if you look at the mythology, the ancient Babylonian mythology, the sun and the moon gods, the sun and the divinity which is representing Venus, Inanna, are children of Nanna, the divinity which represents the moon. So the lunar god, who is male divinity, is father of the sun and Venus, and they're even brothers and sisters, brother and sister in the ancient Babylonian mythology. So from whichever angle we look at this, it is never bad. The planet is only becoming invisible from our perspective. This would say literally that when you look at the sky, the shiniest and the brightest of the brightest, the most beautiful star in our solar system will just not be visible. And with this, many things will not be visible which concern our lives, our routine lives. Money, this will certainly influence the markets and the money. Love, some people may have issues with their love lives because Venus is representing love. But when Venus becomes invisible, she's about finest of the arts. She's about the deepest understanding of very fine arts, of a very fine, deepest of the soul. So Venus is receiving very different nature. But let's see further what is this mythologically. In the netherworld, when Venus is in the netherworld, in the Greek mythology, this is Persephone. But in the Babylonian mythology, this is Ereshkigal. Ereshkigal is this beautiful goddess who is ruling the netherworld. She's ruling the death, and she is beautiful, she's naked, and she is also associated with the sign Scorpio. And this makes perfect sense because of the depth of the sign. Because when Venus is in the netherworld, her nature are not that much anymore about the art of war, about advising the kings how to win the war, or about strategy and wisdom. Her nature is sexuality, redemption, magic. As she's a witch, she's very much into magic, and she's dealing with the death. She's ruling the netherworld. And when she is below in the netherworld, she's not really concerned very much about our destinies above, in the upper world. She is also the wife of Nergal. And who is Nergal? This is Mars. Mars is also ruler, but when he descends into the netherworld, when he also disappears in the rays of the sun. And what is happening, the legend continues, that her sister Inanna is descending into the netherworld in order to help the living to solve our issues with death. So Inanna is the other Venus is another in her other heliacophas, and Inanna is her sister. So Ereshkigal is about death, rebirth, wisdom, but more related to secrets, to occultism, witchcraft, and she's not really concerned so much about our life on earth. She's very much about the life below, and therefore she's not for this period from 15th of July until 13th of October. Venus will not denote what we expect. Venus will not support our finances because she will have totally different duties. She will not support our love lives, but she will give us depth in terms of philosophy, psychology. She's very psychological. When you see in a natal chart somebody who has this phase of Venus, the invisible phase of Venus, these people have deep understanding of love. They may be a bit misfortunate when it comes to relationships, but they can be very deep. They can be very analytical and understanding. So this heliacal phase of Venus is very fine, very philosophical, very psychological, very much about knowledge, but the knowledge that is the hidden knowledge, occultism, esoteric. So this is Ereshkigal, and she's very sexual, and she's also very secretive because she's associated with Pluto, with the sign of Scorpio. So this is what is going to happen, and I will show you. I was talking too much and I forgot to share my screen with you to show you how astrologically this is going to look, so that you can imagine what is actually going to happen. So look what is happening. Venus is disappearing heliacally. She will be hiding in the rays of the sun, and she is in the sign of Gemini. But what is also happening is that she's receiving the opposition you see from Saturn. And when you have two planets in heliacal phase, what is the heliacal phase? This is the planets are very active in a phase that is associated with the sun. So Venus is in a phase of disappearance, so she's doing something actively. She's changing her status, and Saturn, on the other hand, is in a phase called cosmic setting. It is another astronomical heliacal phase of Saturn, also associated with the sun. So what we see here is that we have two planets ruling this chart, two planets that are both very, very powerful. Venus is in a phase of disappearance, which would say also this is her symbolical death. And Saturn is in a phase of cosmic setting, which is destructive and is also associated with death. So we have two planets, very, very powerful, that are taking over the day and the chart. And this will affect for sure the markets very much, the money. And during this day will not be appropriate, certainly during this period, like 7 days before the disappearance of Venus. Now, if she's disappearing totally on the 15th of July, this would mean that already on the 8th of July, from 8th of July until 7 days after 15, 21st of July, 21st, 22nd of July, you will see how the markets will suffer, the money, how people will not dare to spend, and with this they will influence the markets, how our businesses may be also delayed. Everything about money will be delayed. Love life, you may see also some challenges there, and it is again affecting, maybe not afflicting, but certainly affecting the axis of Sagittarius, Gemini. Actually, this year, so much is happening on this axis. People have went through eclipses, and actually the day after, on the 15th, Venus is disappearing, and just the day after, we are having the partial lunar eclipse. What is happening? The moon is opposite the sun, and then we're going to have the eclipse. And you can see my other video on the eclipses. But what is happening, this is very interesting. You can see this in detail in the eclipse video, but I will still tell you that when there is a planet, and the planet is good, benefic, benevolent, like Venus or Jupiter, and when they take part in an eclipse, active part, like in this particular case, Venus is with the sun and is actively in the eclipse, this is considered very good in terms of good omen, so to say, and this will be softening very much the influences of the eclipse, which are otherwise quite can be quite difficult and challenging. But in this particular case, we are having eclipse, and on this particular very moment and day, Venus is disappearing in the rays of the sun, and in this particular day, Saturn is in the phase of cosmic setting. So this is a serious omen, and it is like the eclipse will trigger this. The eclipse will trigger the market issues, and we can expect increases in prices in many fields of the economy. We can like also shortage of goods. So this is also very possible. And also the land may not be that fruitful. And certainly this will result in climate events that already have started with that I spoke previously about, also with the opposition of Mars to Saturn, and you are experiencing this for quite some time now. So actually, this, we cannot say that this is bad, because nothing is bad in astrology, everything is lesson. Let's try to be optimistic and very philosophical. But on the other hand, this is challenging, and it will bring us wisdom, that's for sure. Every such event is giving us a lot. Wisdom, knowledge. We will obtain the depth of Ereshkigal. Maybe we understand from her talents, witchcraft, if you want, for good. So this is certainly something that we will see, and let's see how this will work on personal level. However, the axis of Sagittarius, Gemini, sidereal coordinates is the one that is going to be affected, and especially if this is happening on your, and if your ascendant is Sagittarius, you will feel this. This may influence your relationship. This may influence your money and costs, if you want. It may influence as well your career, your work, your relationship with all partnerships around yourself. Also, on the other hand, look at this very moment, Mercury is also invisible and retrograde. So the sky is not supportive at all when it comes to business and economy. This is where the biggest affliction will be, and also in the private lives of people. During this period, if you look at cultures who still remember their ancient knowledge, and let's look at the Indians, they never perform marriage ceremony while Venus is invisible. Never. They know this. They some of the ancient astrologers, not all, follow up the heliacal phases, not simplifying them, like saying when Venus is 15 degrees, reaches 15 degrees distance with the sun, she becomes invisible, or as they apply this for every planet. This is not true. There are people who follow really the ancient knowledge, and they know what to do. And yes, to start a relationship during this time may not be very auspicious, as this may have very complex, so to say, development. To get married during this period is better to wait until Venus becomes visible. Also, of course, that is for sure, and I already mentioned it, the relationships, our private lives may may experience some challenges, especially, actually, not only if your axis is, your ascendant is Sagittarius and your descendant is Gemini, or the other way around, or if this is your midheaven axis. Certainly, if your chart looks like that, and your midheaven is Sagittarius and your lower meridian is Gemini, certainly you may expect some issues with your career and your money. You may go through some challenges with your salary, for example, or so during this period it's good not to renegotiate salary or not to ask for better or higher position at work. During this period, it's good to know Venus is invisible. She is our money, and therefore we need to wait until she becomes visible if we really want to have normal business. So I hope this was useful for you. Useful because you can certainly benefit from this knowledge. It is enough already to keep in mind that the heliacal phase of Venus is not bad, but it's different. And that this is not Inanna from a cat, this is not Persephone, this is not Inanna from Uruk, this is not Athena Pallas, but this is Ereshkigal, the most interesting, deep, complex, fine, multi-layered nature of Venus. And let's benefit from her exactly this way. If you want to have muse and do artistic work, wonderful. Then you can really imagine the power of Ereshkigal, of Venus in the netherworld, and use her magical powers and her muse and create wonderful artworks. So let me complete with this. If you want to contact me for seeing exactly how this will influence you, or if you want to know how your Venus is placed in your chart, my website is below, www.krasiancientastrology.com. Thank you. Your comments are also very welcome.